Very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha Television. The perfect show to kickstart your day, bringing you the top national, international, sports and business news. I'm Ashwara Kapoor and here are this morning's headlines. Discussion on GST bills slated in Rajya Sabha. BJP and Congress issue whips to MPs to be present in the House for the next 2 days. UP Cabinet waives off farm loans up to 1 lakh rupees. The Madras High Court restrains cooperative societies and banks from recovering dues from farmers. India rejects any US role in resolving dispute with Pakistan. US ambassador to UN had suggested the Trump administration wants to find a place in resolution. 58 people feared killed in suspected chemical attack in Syria. US blames Assad regime. UN Security Council calls emergency meet. And the 10th edition of IPL begins in Hyderabad today. Defending champions Sunrisers Hyderabad take on Royal Challengers Bangalore. Well, first up, news from Parliament, which reconvenes today after a 4-day break. Well, the crucial GST bills will be taken up for discussion in the Rajya Sabha today. Well, the 4 supplementary goods and services tax legislations, the central GST bill, the integrated GST bill, the GST compensation to states bill, and the union territory GST bills were passed last week by the Lok Sabha. Well, to block its passage, both the Congress and the TMC are likely to move amendments in the upper house. But the government is keen to roll out the new indirect tax regime from 1st of July this year. Well, touted as the biggest taxation reform since independence, GST will subsume central excise, service tax, VAT and other local levies to create a uniform market in the country. Well, the GST is also expected to boost the GDP growth by about 2% and check tax evasion as well. The BJP and the Congress have issued whips to their Rajya Sabha MPs to be present in the House for the next 2 days. On to some other news now. Well, post-Brexit, Britain is trying to forge fresh economic partnerships in an attempt to find newer markets once it dissociates itself from the European Union. In this regard, it has now underscored India as a potential market and key economic partner. A theme that was highlighted on Tuesday by the UK Finance Minister's meeting with Finance Minister Arun Jaitley.
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley and United Kingdom's Finance Minister Philip Hammond concluded India-UK economic and financial dialogue in Delhi. As one of the major countries working on green technology to address climate change, UK will invest almost £240 million in India. This is expected to be a major boost to UK economy post-Brexit developments.
We have both continued to consolidate past successes and to identify new areas where we can work together over the next couple of years, preparing for the point where Britain leaves the European Union and is able to engage with our Indian colleagues in a deep discussion about a future free trade agreement between the United Kingdom and India.
India has told the UK Finance Minister that the fund will also be used to create infrastructure with energy and carbon-saving devices. The British Finance Minister was also reminded that in 2015, India had set up National Infrastructure and Investment Fund to finance modernization of old projects.
Established the National Infrastructure and Investment Fund, and one of the first major steps in that fund has been taken, and there is going to be a sub-fund with the UK and the NIF participating in it, and this is going to be a green growth equity fund where both are going to be making a contribution of about £120 million, and this would be financing the energy needs in India. So this is going to be a first major beginning as far as this fund is concerned.
This was the 9th economic and financial dialogue between India and UK to revitalize the economic relationship between the two countries. The high-level talks are taking place at a time when the whole world is curious to see how Britain chooses its destiny in the face of its divorce with the European Union. It is also an opportunity for India and UK to showcase a new partnership, especially at a time when the US is exploring protectionism as an option. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
News from Uttar Pradesh now. Well, the first cabinet meeting of Yogi Adityanath government took place in Lucknow on Tuesday. Now, keeping the promise made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the people of the state during the recently concluded assembly elections, the newly appointed UP government has decided to waive off farm loans up to 1 lakh rupees for farmers in the state. But it is expected to provide relief to over 2.25 crore farmers who are battling severe drought, primarily in the Bundelkhand region. Well, the state cabinet also decided to write off non-performing assets or NPAs of 5,630 crore rupees of 7 lakh farmers as well. In all, the government will bear a total waiver burden of 36,359 crore rupees. Well, apart from that, the other decisions are setting up of 3 separate committees of ministers on formulation of new industrial policy to check illegal mining and to protect the interests of potato growing farmers in the state. The Yogi cabinet also approved the proposal to buy 100% wheat crop of farmers across the state. Well, the state government has also decided that no illegal abattoirs will be allowed in the state of Uttar Pradesh. He has also decided to provide free electricity to BPL families in urban areas. The state government has also approved the proposal of construction of a multi-facility stadium at Ghazipur, and 5 crore rupees will be spent on the same.
लघु और सीमांत किसान हैं, उनका हम लोगों ने जो ऋण माफ किया है वो है 30 करोड़ 739 करोड़ रुपए की है, 30729 करोड़।
92,241 करोड़ रुपए के कर्ज में डूबे उत्तर प्रदेश के 86 लाख किसानों का मात्र 36,000 करोड़ कर्जा माफ हुआ है। आज भी 56,000 करोड़ का मियादी कर्जा यानी के टर्म लोन किसान के सर पर खड़ा है।
पहले मरहले में उन लोगों का कर्ज माफ करते जिन पर बड़ी रकमें हैं, छोटे किसान हैं और पुराना कर्जा है और ब्याज उनका बहुत ज्यादा है। अगर इस वक्त सिर्फ उनका ब्याज ही माफ कर देते और मूलधन बाद में माफ कर देते तब भी मेरे ख्याल से ये अच्छी पहल होती।
While the UP government has waived off loan for the farmers, the Madras High Court has directed the Tamil Nadu government to waive off loans for all droughted farmers. Well, the court also restrained the cooperative societies and banks from recovering their dues from the farmers. Well, it called for the centre to come forward to extend financial help to Tamil Nadu during this difficult situation. The Madras High Court noted that the state's financial situation was grim and that it was single-handedly shouldering the debt burden in a drought year in which farmers were committing suicide. Well, the court also directed the Cooperation, Food and Consumer Protection Department and the Registrar of the Cooperative Societies to extend the crop loan waiver scheme under 2 government orders of 2016 to all the farmers. Well, Tamil Nadu farmers have been protesting in New Delhi for over 20 days now, demanding relief from the centre.
They say it's the duty of the government, central and state government, to protect the farmers because they are in a very pathetic condition. Last 5 years there is no proper monsoon in Tamil Nadu, and 2015 the unexpected floods has taken place. So you extend the benefit which was given to the small farmers to all farmers. The court also directed the government to implement the order within a period of 3 months, and in between time and also restrain the government not to recover the loan from the farmers.
On to some other news now. Well, India has rejected any US role in resolving its issues with Pakistan. Well, India's wailed a snub to the US came after US ambassador to the UN said that the Trump administration would want to find its place in efforts to de-escalate tensions between the two neighbors. While Nikki Haley was responding to a question on whether the US would consider mediating. Well, MEA spokesperson Gopal Bagle said, and I quote him now, the government's position for bilateral redressal of all India-Pakistan issues in an environment free of terror and violence has not changed. We, of course, expect the international community and the organizations to enforce international mechanisms and mandates concerning terrorism emanating from Pakistan, which continues to be the single biggest threat to peace and stability in our region and beyond, unquote.
I think it's absolutely right, and this administration is concerned about the relationship between India and Pakistan, and very much wants to see how we de-escalate any sort of conflict going forward. So I would expect that the administration is going to be in talks and try and find its place to be a part of that. We don't think we should wait until something happens. We very much think that we should be proactive in the way that we're seeing tensions rise and conflicts start to bubble up, and so we want to see if we can be a part of that. So I think that that will be something that you will see members of the National Security Council participate in, but also wouldn't be surprised if the President participates in that as well.
Big story coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. While Pakistan continued to violate the ceasefire along the line of control for the third time in 48 hours, well, this time in Rajouri. The Indian Army retaliated strongly after Pakistan began indiscriminate shelling on civilian areas in Rajouri district on Tuesday. On Monday also, Pakistan had violated the ceasefire in Rajouri and Poonch sectors, but the United Nations said that it will initiate a probe into the ceasefire violations.
Pakistan violated the ceasefire for the third time in the last 24 hours in Jammu and Kashmir on Tuesday. The Indian Army troops deployed on forward posts retaliated strongly after the Pakistani side resorted to heavy shelling on civilian areas along the line of control in Rajouri district. On Monday, Pakistani troops opened mortar fire on forward posts in Balakot sector of Rajouri district at 11 am. This came just a few hours after Pakistani troops fired with small arms, automatic and mortar shells along the LOC in the Poonch sector.
With the summer coming up, these ceasefire violations will increase again, and this is also a kind of tactics under the ceasefire violation. They make an effort to cross the terrorist. So Pakistan, our security forces understand this, but Pakistan must realize this, and they will never succeed in their aim.
Floral tributes were paid to the CRPF Jawan martyred in a militant attack in Srinagar's Panta Chowk, in which 5 other Jawans and 2 civilians were injured. Senior officers from the CRPF, Jammu and Kashmir Police and the civil administration laid wreaths on the coffin carrying the mortal remains of Head Constable Basappa Bajantri.
Overall situation fluid है, militant activity थोड़ा increase हो रही है क्योंकि election होने वाली है और थोड़ा सा सिचुएशन के ऊपर हमें ध्यान देने की जरूरत है. श्रीनगर में इनके हाइडआउट्स तो हैं, लेकिन मूवमेंट हमारे पास इंटेलिजेंस रिपोर्ट तो है कि आते हैं यहाँ पे और इंटेलिजेंस रिपोर्ट है, लेकिन हम अलर्ट हैं हमारे.
On Sunday, Constable Shamsuddin was martyred in a grenade attack in Nauhata area of Srinagar. Meanwhile, the UN Secretary General spokesman Stefan Dujarric stated that the UN Military Observer Group in India and Pakistan is investigating alleged ceasefire violations in POK. The UN has termed the security situation as quite tense. We've seen the alleged ceasefire violations over the line of control, which are currently being investigated by the UN Military Observer Group in India and Pakistan in the Pakistani-administered side of the line of control at Domel, Kotli and Bimbar, where the security situation has indeed been tense.
We don't think we should wait until something happens. We very much think that we should be proactive in the way that we're seeing tensions rise and conflicts start to bubble up, and so we want to see if we can be a part of that. So I think that that will be something that you will see members of the National Security Council participate in, but also wouldn't be surprised if the President participates in that as well.
The first 3 days of April have seen the militants go into an overdrive in Kashmir, carrying out 3 attacks on security forces. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
News from the northeast of the country. Well, amid China's objection, Tibetan spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, arrived in Bomdila town of Arunachal Pradesh late Tuesday evening after his journey to Tawang was postponed due to bad weather. Well, in Bomdila today, the Dalai Lama is expected to make a public appearance and deliver a discourse at the Buddha Park. He is also scheduled to visit Lumla, Tawang, Dirang and Itanagar. Now, Chief Minister Pema Khandu was also present to receive the spiritual leader and maintained that the Dalai Lama's visit to the state was purely spiritual and not political. The visit has already generated controversy with China. However, India has asked China not to interfere in its internal affairs. Minister of State for Home Kiran Rijiju said that India respects the One China policy and expects Beijing to reciprocate. China had earlier warned India that the spiritual leader's visit to Arunachal Pradesh will cause serious damage to their bilateral ties.
तो इनका जो यहाँ पे जो विजिट है वो टोटली हम लोगों का रिलीजन को बेस करके है, यहाँ के लोगों को एक रिलीजियस वे में टीचिंग देने का है। और जहाँ तक ये बाउंड्री का जो इश्यूज है तो मैं तो हमेशा कहता हूँ कि हमारे बाउंड्री जो है चाइना के साथ हम लोग शेयर नहीं करता है, हम लोग बाउंड्री शेयर करते हैं तिब्बत के साथ में।
India never interfered into the internal affairs of China. We expect that China also should not interfere in our internal matters. Being a democratic and secular country, India cannot restrict or stop the visit or the program of any religious leaders in our country.
And in Breakfast News, we'll take a very short break. We'll be right back with more news. Stay with us.
Uninterrupted power supply still remains a far cry.
The central government is only a policy-making body. It's the states which have to invest in their power infrastructure.
What about the hydropower? We see that is untapped as compared to wind and solar.
Unless you resolve the past legacy, no new investor is going to come in and put good money.
Yogi Adityanath, his anointment is leading to some kind of a social isolation, especially the Muslims.
A lot of Muslim women are very happy that there will be peace and security on the streets.
Watch to the point with Minister of State for Coal, Power, New and Renewable Energy, Piyush Goyal, only on Rajya Sabha television. The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Welcome back. News from the national capital now. Over 4,200 nominations have been filed for the Delhi municipal polls, which are due on 23rd of April. As the last date for filing of the papers ended amid a rush of candidates from all parties and contestants. While scrutiny of nominations will take place today, among the major parties, Aam Aadmi Party has fielded 1,033 nominations, followed by BJP and Congress with 565 and 544. Well, the last date for the withdrawal of nominations is 8th of April, and the polls to the 3 municipal corporations of Delhi will be held on 23rd of April, and a counting of votes will take place on 26th, where the North Delhi Municipal Corporation and South Delhi Municipal Corporation have 104 seats each, while the East Delhi Municipal Corporation has 64. The erstwhile unified MCD was trifurcated in 2012 into NDMC, SDMC and EDMC respectively. The BJP has been ruling the MCD since 2007. The last polls were held in 2012. Let's now get you some more weather update. Well, some respite from the heat wave conditions on Tuesday because there was snowfall in the hilly areas of Jammu and Kashmir and scattered rainfall in some areas of other northern states as well. While light scattered rains accompanied by the thunderstorms and overcast skies for most of the day gave a respite to Delhiites from the heat. Well, the maximum temperature was recorded at 36.3 degrees Celsius while the minimum was 21.8 degrees. The lower and mid-hilly areas of Himachal Pradesh also witnessed rainfall along with the strong winds, while the state capital remained heavily overcast and received light showers. The Met Office has predicted thunderstorms, squall and hail at isolated places in lower and mid-hills of the states. Meanwhile, the Met Department also issued a heavy rain alert for the hill areas of Uttarakhand over the next 48 hours. Hailstorm and squalls are also likely to occur at a few places during the period, which may see light to moderate rain at most places. Also, the maximum temperature continued to hover above normal limits across Haryana and Punjab, even as the rains lashed several parts of both the states. The Met Department predicted light to moderate rainfalls as well as thunder showers at a few places during the next 36 hours in the states. Meanwhile, in the south of the country, the ongoing heat wave conditions across the southern states have led to severe water crisis in Gulbarga in Karnataka. Well, in the absence of any relief from either rain or winds, the temperature is soaring, reaching beyond 42 degrees Celsius, besides acute water shortage in the area. Meanwhile, residents there appeal to the government for help. Earlier, Law Minister T.B. Jayachandra said that the government plans to use modern exploration technologies to identify underground water reserves. The minister also said that the state government will distribute the drought relief fund sanctioned by the central government to the farmers in the state. And for more news across the country, let's go nationwide. Shiv Sena Chief Uddhav Thackeray has demanded a loan waiver for farmers in Maharashtra. Well, Thackeray also asked Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis to follow in UP Chief Minister's footsteps and announce a loan waiver for farmers in the state. The ongoing budget session of the state legislature has been dominated by the demands for farm loan waivers. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has declared Jhargram as the 22nd district of Bengal. She said that 4th of April will be celebrated as a Jhargram Divas from now on. Now, Jhargram has been formed by bifurcating West Midnapur, which has a population of more than 11.37 lakh. She also announced a budget of 200 crore rupees for the development of the region. Senior IPS officer Geeta Johri has been appointed as the new state police chief of Gujarat. Well, she was asked by the Supreme Court to dissociate herself from the SIT probing the 2002 Gujarat riots cases following allegation of bias. Johri will be the first woman to head the state police. All right, let's get you some international news. And world leaders have expressed a shock and outrage over reports of a suspected chemical attack in northwestern Syria. Well, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reported that on Tuesday, strikes on Khan Sheikhon had caused at least 58 people to be choked to death, including many children. Well, the war planes reportedly attacked a rebel-held Khan Sheikhon early in the morning when many people were asleep, giving off a poisonous gas. Many casualties were the result of asphyxiation. The White House says it was confident that it was Bashar al-Assad's government that was behind the apparent chemical attack. However, Syria's army as well as its ally Russia has denied the use of any such chemical weapon. US President Donald Trump condemned what he called was heinous atrocities by Bashar al-Assad regime. The UK, United Nations and France also condemned the incident. If confirmed, this will be one of the deadliest chemical attacks in Syria's civil war. The suspected chemical attack in Syria led the United Nations to replace a scheduled Security Council session for Wednesday morning with an emergency meeting.
قذيفة طلع فيها دخان كتير.
ايوه.
طلع فيها معها دخان كتير وصار ريحة.
صار نفس.
صار نفسنا كتير ما عاد نحسن نتنفس.
Well, I'm appalled by the reports that there has been a chemical weapons attack on a town south of Idlib, allegedly by the Syrian regime. We condemn the use of chemical weapons in all circumstances. If proven, this will be further evidence of the barbarism of the Syrian regime.
These heinous actions by the Bashar al-Assad regime are a consequence of the past administration's weakness and irresolution, period. President Obama said in 2012 that he would establish a quote-unquote red line against the use of chemical weapons and then did nothing, period. The United States stands with our allies across the globe to condemn this intolerable act.
We have all seen the reports of the terrible chemical weapons attack in Syria. I'd like to inform the Council that the Presidency intends to convene a meeting in briefing format here in the open chamber tomorrow at 10 a.m. to discuss the attack.
And news from Russia now, and the first victims of the St. Petersburg metro explosion have been named as investigators continue to piece together the identity of the attacker. Well, Monday's blast between two metro stations led to 14 people being killed and also injured 50 people. Well, investigators say that it was a suicide bomb. Now, Kyrgyzstan's security service have named the suspect as Akbarzon Jalilov, who had obtained Russian citizenship. His name was later confirmed by Russian investigators, who said that he also planned a second bomb that did not explode. Well, no group has said it was behind the bombing. Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev has described the blast as a terrorist act, and flowers and tributes were laid at memorials on Tuesday as a 3-day period of mourning began. Some metro stations reopened after a complete network shutdown earlier. And news from Colombia now, where the president of the country, Juan Manuel Santos, attended a mass for victims of a landslide that killed at least 286 people and devastated the southwestern town of Mocoa. Well, President Santos said that his heart was with the families who have lost their loved ones and called on his faith to bring the town strength and peace to move forward. The Colombian government gave a nod to begin the official collection process of donations in humanitarian aid for the survivors. Meanwhile, survivors queued up at shelters to receive vaccinations against chickenpox, hepatitis B and tetanus as rescue workers rushed to bury identified bodies as soon as possible to stop the spread of infection. Now, mudslide survivors struggled to recover their loved ones, homes and belongings, while some took shelter in nearby communities as they tried to figure out their next steps. Well, the death toll has ticked up during the last few days as rescuers search with dogs and machinery in the multi-choked rubble. And according to the US and South Korean officials, now North Korea has fired a ballistic missile from its eastern port of Sinpo into the Sea of Japan. Well, South Korea's defense ministry said that the missile flew about 60 kilometers. Well, this is the latest in a series of tests which the North says is peaceful, but the West fears is a part of a program to develop nuclear weapons. Well, the launch comes on the eve of a visit by Chinese President Xi Jinping to the United States to meet President Donald Trump. Well, the two are likely to discuss how to rein in North Korea's nuclear and missile programs. The North, remember, is banned from any missile or nuclear test by the United Nations. In a statement, the U.S. military's Pacific Command said that the latest launch appeared to be a KN-15 medium-range ballistic missile. And on to sports now. Well, the 10th edition of the Indian Premier League will kick off from today in Hyderabad with the defending champions, the Sunrisers Hyderabad, taking on Royal Challengers Bangalore in the opening match. Well, RCB will be without their captain Virat Kohli and star batsman AB de Villiers, both of whom are nursing an injury. Well, the tournament will feature 8 teams who will play a total of 56 league games, followed by the qualifiers and the final, which will be played on 21st of May. Hyderabad, Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, Mohali, Rajkot and Kolkata are the venues for the tournament. However, teams like Gujarat Lions and Kings 11 Punjab will play their home games at neutral venues in Kanpur and Indore. And badminton news, well, star shuttlers PV Sindhu and Saina Nehwal will lead India's challenge at the Malaysian Open badminton tournament. Well, recently crowned Indian Open champion PV Sindhu will take on China's Chen Yufei, while Saina Nehwal will meet Akane Yamaguchi of Japan in their opening games today. On Tuesday, women's doubles pair of Ashwini Punappa and Siki Reddy qualified for the main draw after beating their Indonesian counterparts in straight sets. Meanwhile, in the men's singles, Ajay Jairam and B. Sai Praneeth will lead the Indian challenge after H.S. Pranoy and Kidambi Srikanth pulled out of the tournaments due to personal reasons. Well, that's it from the entire Breakfast News team at the moment, but news and updates continue on Rajya Sabha television. Thanks for your time.